While at first thought battles that happened thousands of years ago seem irrelevant to the world today, that couldn't be further from the case. Our modern civilizations today would have been completely different, or might not even exist if one decision and one battle was made differently. To learn why the world is what it is today, we'll be looking at five of the most important battles of the ancient world. I also want to note that this is just part one, and there'll be other videos including other important battles, and the following battles are only in order by date they occurred and are not ranked by their influence and importance. Battle of the Delta. The Battle of the Delta was between the New Kingdom of Egypt led by Ramses III and the Sea People Confederation circa 1175 BC. At this time, the Sea People were on a tear in the Eastern Mediterranean, sacking and pillaging many cities and civilizations. They played a major role in the Late Bronze Age collapse that saw the collapse of the Mycenaean Greeks and the Hittite Empire. Please check the description box for a video that goes deeper into the Late Bronze Age collapse as a whole. During the Sea People raids, they came in contact with the Egyptian Empire's outposts in modern-day Syria, where the Egyptians were able to defeat them on land. After their battle in Syria, both the Sea People and Egyptians raced to Egypt to prepare for an invasion of the Egyptian homeland. Ramses III was able to lure the Sea People into the Nile Delta, where they were subsequently ambushed. Once in the Delta, Ramses' ships cut off the Sea People's escape route and pushed their ships closer to the shore, where they were picked off by Egyptian archers stationed at the banks of the Nile. The Sea People's force was obliterated and they never threatened Egypt again. So why is this battle so important? If the Sea People would have won, we could expect what happened to the Hittites to happen to the Egyptians, with their entire civilization and many of their buildings and records completely wiped out. Similar to the Hittites, if the Sea People won, most of our detailed records of Egypt would have been from outside sources, and the legacy that Egypt had on subsequent civilizations that followed them would have been non existent, and the modern world in this timeline would have been unrecognizable to our own. The siege of Jerusalem was the Babylonian siege and subsequent destruction of Jerusalem and the deportation of the Jews to Babylon by Babylonian King Nebuchadnezzar II between 589 and 587 BC. The kingdom of Judah came under Babylonian control in 597 BC when King Nebuchadnezzar conquered it, as the king of Judah was an ally to the Egyptians, and the Egyptians had just repelled a Babylonian invasion in 601 BC. After the Babylonians conquered the city, they looted it and took the king, nobility, and a sizable part of the population to Babylon. The Babylonians then installed a puppet king named Zedekiah. After a while, Zedekiah rebelled and refused to pay tribute to the Babylonians, and again allied himself with Egypt. It is important to note that the prophet Jeremiah and many people in his court protested Zedekiah's decision to ally with Egypt and rebel. In retaliation, Nebuchadnezzar laid siege to Jerusalem in 589 BC, and in 587 the Babylonians broke through Jerusalem's walls and destroyed the city. The first temple of Solomon was destroyed, and almost every Judean was taken into Babylon in captivity. So why is this siege so important? This siege is important because it forever altered Judaism, which birthed Christianity and Islam after it. Some of the things that changed was Judaism truly turned into a monotheistic faith, and Yahweh was the God of all people rather than thinking Yahweh was just the God of Israel. Idolatry worship was also abandoned, and instead an emphasis was placed on tradition and law. The principal religious groups in Israel, the scribes, the Pharisees, and the Sadducees, originated during this time. The idea that the devil was God's adversary comes from captivity in Babylon. If Jerusalem is never besieged and never falls, Judaism and the history of the Jews is forever altered, meaning it is likely Christianity and Islam don't develop, and the world without the three monotheistic Abrahamic faiths is almost inconceivable to imagine. The fall of Babylon was the conquest of Babylon by Cyrus the Great in the Medo-Persian Empire in 539 BC. At this time, Cyrus had conquered Media and Lydia and any major power to the immediate east of Persia. The only remaining power to threaten Cyrus' dominance in West Asia was the massive Neo-Babylonian Empire. In 539, Cyrus invaded Babylon and beat the Babylonian army, seizing the city of Opis. A week later, Cyrus reached the massive walls that protected Babylon. Babylon was protected by its walls and the powerful Euphrates River, which ran through the city. With the walls being nearly impenetrable, Cyrus went further upstream and diverted the Euphrates River, creating a path straight through the city and underneath the walls where the former path of the river would have ran. This caught the Babylonians off guard, and Cyrus was able to take Babylon with little resistance. With the seizure of Babylon, Cyrus now inherited control of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, expanded the Medo-Persian Empire from the Aegean Sea in the west to the Indus River in the east, creating one of the largest empires in world history. So why is this important? This battle is important because it created the Persian Empire that we know today. The Persian Empire is extremely important as some of our modern military and political systems and ideas come from them, especially in terms of bureaucracy, centralization of power with decentralized administration, with the establishment of governors, and a laid out framework for how to govern a massive multi ethnic state. The Persians also helped establish regular trade routes between Africa, Asia, and Europe, which was also used as a highway to transport new knowledge, information, and ideas. Cyrus also let the Jews go back to their spiritual homeland and help them rebuild, which allowed Judaism to remain intact and continue to develop. The Battle of Plataea was the final land battle between the Persians and the Greeks during the Second Persian invasion of Greece in 479 BC. After the Persians are defeated at the naval battle of Salamis, Xerxes retreats with a large part of his army and leaves his general Mardonius to complete the invasion of the Peloponnese after the Persian naval failure. Afterwards, the Greeks form an army of about 100,000 men and meet Mardonius and his army of about 300,000 men near the city of Plataea. The battle was fierce and brutal, but the Greeks gained the upper hand once Mardonius was killed in battle. The Greek phalanx and heavy infantry was able to smash through the Persian light infantry, despite being outnumbered nearly 3 to 1. And with this decisive Greek victory, the Persians retreat back to their strongholds, and the Second Persian invasion of Greece fails. So, why is this battle important? With the Greek victory, the Second Persian invasion of Greece ends in failure. Xerxes is satisfied with Athens being burnt to the ground and loses desire in another invasion of Greece. Persian dominance over all of Greece was therefore prevented, and Persia paid a high price for the loss of much of their army and navy. Though a peace between the two was finally achieved, the rivalry and contempt that came out of the Greco Persian Wars remained, which culminated with Alexander of Macedon conquering the Persian Empire in 334 BC. If the Greeks lose this battle and the Second Persian invasion of Greece is successful, Greece, their culture and language would have been stomped out, and a world without the influence of the Greeks is hard to conceive. The Battle of Zama. The Battle of Zama was the final major showdown that occurred in 202 BC between the Carthaginians led by Hannibal and the Roman and Numidians led by Publius Scipio and Massinissa in the Second Punic War. Please check the description box below for a video that goes deeper into the Second Punic War as a whole. With Hannibal's army stuck in Italy and unable to conquer Rome, Scipio and Rome went on the offensive and conquered Spain from the Carthaginians, then moved into North Africa where they allied themselves with the Numidians, who hated the Carthaginians. After this new alliance defeated two Carthaginian armies, the Carthaginian Senate recalled Hannibal from Italy to lead the defense of the city of Carthage. Hannibal got the better of Scipio last time they fought, but this time Hannibal was outstrategized by Scipio. With the Numidian cavalry as his allies and prior experience against Hannibal, Scipio was ready. Hannibal sent an elephant charge to the Roman line, but the Romans opened up the formation so the elephants could pass through, making them useless. The Numidian cavalry then destroyed the Carthaginian cavalry and attacked the Carthaginian rear, leading to Hannibal's defeat. Why is this battle important? This battle basically crippled Carthage and it never posed a threat again, and the greatest threat that the Roman Republic ever faced was neutralized. Hannibal's invasion played a big role in Rome's expansion, as they never wanted an enemy to get that close to Rome and ravage the Italian heartland again, putting them on a path to becoming an empire spanning the entire Mediterranean. If Rome lost this battle and subsequently lost the Second Punic War, their dominance over the Mediterranean would have either never happened or would have been delayed, as Carthage would have been on par with Rome as what previously happened before the Punic Wars. Rome wouldn't have been able to expand like it did, and with the weaker and smaller Rome, European and Mediterranean history would have been altered in a way that we couldn't recognize today. Thank you.